So I'm pleased to be joined with Dwsyn, and you are a Canadian artist. Listeners are familiar with your song and drawing me that they hear on the waves constantly. And you actually have an album coming out today. It's called
Yeah.
Closer to Your Heart. So we're going to be diving into a little bit about like the heart behind that, the messages that you hope listeners take away. But, maybe if listeners aren't too familiar with you and your journey, how did you even get started in music in the first place?
Well, honestly, it's just kind of something that I've always loved, right? And just one day, I just felt God say, like, kind of just try it, take a step. Like, no promise of where it's going, but He just said to, like, just try something. And so I actually started music by making piano covers on Spotify of worship songs. I did lots of those. And then recently, I just started doing like my own songwriting and singing. And so it's all independent. I'm just doing it myself, figuring it out. But mhm,
And when did
yeah,
you start doing the piano covers? Like, how long have you been in the
that
music world?
was like 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
still fairly
still
new and
pretty fresh.
still
Yeah,
learning.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So, like I said, you have an album coming out closer to your heart that is out today. And I want
yeah,
to talk about a few songs that are on that album. One is called Faithful Then, Faithful Now. So if
yeah.
listeners hear that, what's kind of like the main message or theme that you really hope that they take away?
I think the main message there is like kind of trusting God's plans. Like we can make our own plans, but we're not God, right? And so we're gonna want things, and but our plans kind of fail us. And so if we can kind of submit that to God and trust Him, even when I cannot see, like you're in control, that's kind of the theme. Yeah.
And I mean, that's obviously a lot easier said than done, just
Yes, of course.
having that control. And your song Who You Are, what's the main theme with that?
Yeah, that one's really simple. It's more just like something that I think all Christians can relate to, like knowing like God's the one that healed my heart and like I know who you are and you are love and really that's it's that simple. So yeah.
And you said you
Yeah.
were still fairly new to the whole music world.
Hmm.
But like when you're writing a song, when you're writing music, how would you say your faith really plays an impact on that and maybe your words or the melody or things
Well,
like
it's definitely my main inspiration. Like I don't really have a desire to write about anything besides God, at least at this time in my life. So definitely my experiences with God and the Bible, like everything, I just kind of write about what I'm feeling and what I need for myself and the people around me. So yeah, it's that simple.
And with your album Closer to Your Heart, what are you excited about for people to kind of, maybe take away, or maybe there's one song on it that you're really excited for people to hear?
Yeah, I mean, I started by doing a lot of like covers, like kind of dance versions of covers. So there's one cover on the album of "This Is How I Thank the Lord." It's a popular song that most people know, and I put like a dance spin on it, and I think it's really cool. And so that one I'm really excited for too. But
And how would you describe your musical sound for somebody that isn't familiar with it?
it's definitely like electronic pop for sure. Yeah, I'd say. Yeah.
And is there
But
any other like artists or bands that you kind of take inspiration from, or is it just
definitely like Hillsong Young and Free is like a big inspiration. I grew up listening to them all the time, seeing them at youth. Elevation Rhythm. I don't think I sound necessarily like them, but they are definitely inspiring my music. So yeah.
and so obviously the album came out today, but if listeners want to kind of follow along with your journey and any other new projects that you're going to have in the future, where's the best place for them to follow along?
Yeah, so my Instagram is where I post most of my stuff. So it'd be at Dwsyn Music. That's DWSYN Music. I'm also on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube, everywhere. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us and kind of sharing a little bit about your process and like the different songs on this project.
Yeah, thank you.